Between 2005 and 2023, the alternative rock band Paramore put out a total of 6 albums, and now I'm ranking all of them from worst to best. There's only a few modern bands with stories as famous as theirs. Pop-punk flames, intense drama between members, long waits between albums, all without ever missing the mark as they took fans along for the roller coaster ride, adapting sort of a evolve or die mantra just to keep the ship above water. Sink or swim? Will these albums float too? From All We Know Is Falling to This Is Why, welcome to Paramore Ranked. Hey neighbor, thanks for stopping by. My name is John, and you probably know the drill already. These are just my personal opinions, but today we're going to be ranking all 6 Paramore albums from worst to best by reviewing each record and then weighing it out on a tier list. Drop a like and comment your own list down below, and a special shout out to my channel members who not only got early access to this video, they voted in the members only poll to bring this ranking to life. Tap the join button below to get early access to content, custom emojis to use in chat and comments, and of course members only polls to help decide video topics for just $5 a month. And also, don't forget to check out my brand new top 10 Paramore songs at the link in the description. All We Know Is Falling was recorded pretty abruptly, coming together in just a few short weeks with extra care mainly being given to just the singles Emergency and Pressure. This definitely isn't a bad album, but it shows its age in terms of some of the pitch correction used in the studio, plus the instruments often become cluttered and hard to decipher who's playing what as a result of the lower budget and the rushed mixing process. The elder Paramore fans are probably ready to burn me at the stake because I know this record is important, not just to them, but in general for Paramore. It's not like I think they should be ashamed of it, but I'm positive this would hit a lot harder if they gave it a good remastering, or better yet, a complete re-recording with the modern version of the band. Still, the first 3 songs were all tight, punchy, and showed us that there was a storm brewing, and yes, there are other highlights too. I think Conspiracy still passes the vibe check. Some of the guitar licks are tasty and headbang worthy, but they get stale on many of the deep cuts, as do the young Zac Farro's drums, which had improved night and day by the time we got to Riot 2 years later. From the stunted songwriting to the anxiety jitters I'm sure they had while recording their debut album, All We Know Is Falling shows its age with a cracked foundation, and by comparison to their discography, I'm putting it in the D tier.
Always running out of time. She's always running out of time. I'm always running out of time.
Promises of post-punk excellence may have altered my expectations for This Is Why, the album, not the song, because the song immediately hit my subconscious and locked like a mousetrap. Post-punk is probably now my favorite genre of music, and I realize that that's a wide-ass net to be casting, but I can hear much of Paramore's runtime in the 6th album fitting that category, albeit in ways that subverted expectations. We got something very different with each of the 3 singles. As the title track screams talking heads, the news pours gasoline aggressively the way an old Paramore rager might, and C'est Comme Ça taps into their Bloc Party influence in an agitating way with its extremely deadpan delivery and a very frustrating hook. There's an unpredictable shakiness to the album track list as they speed through the sonic valleys up and down while blindfolded.
Ah, this is good. I hear water. Now turn right.
What I mean by that is that there's definitely an adrenaline fueling the listener to keep going, to keep listening, to see what might fit, but it's kind of like trying on clothes in a fitting room. You know not everything is coming home. For as critical as I'll be about the half-baked songwriting on Big Man, Little Dignity, or the abstract thought process behind the vocal production that often has Hayley Williams sounding slightly stuck in solo album mode, there's still plenty of stuff to love here. Maybe the first 5 songs are supposed to give us our sea legs while our captain rocks the boat, but the second half of This Is Why? That half is nothing short of stunning, and it only gets better the more you spin it. You First strikes back to back with Figure 8 to spearhead possibly the 2 greatest songs on the album. There's so much passion erupting from the core of both, but not to be outdone, we're treated to the slow-burning romantic confession Liar before eventually landing on shore, unpacking the baggage, and rewinding the tape in dazzling fashion on Thick Skull. All 3 of the core members balance each other out nicely, and I'd be lying if I said that each doesn't have multiple insanely good spotlight moments where we see their talent on full display. Ranking This Is Why was the toughest of the entire pack, but it's still coming in behind Riot for now, even though I'm gonna future-proof this ranking by sliding it into the B tier.
Well, this is
Riot is an absolute juggernaut of an album. Pop punk was at its popularity peak in the mid-2000s, and I kind of view Paramore's sophomore outing as the beginning of the end for so many of those scene bands that didn't survive past 2015. A moment of silence, RIP. There's a reason why so much of their catalog does stand the test of time, down to the engineering, production, and obviously the band themselves, who really cleaned up nice here with better performances from every member when compared to their debut. An immediate gravitational pull sucks you into orbit, spinning around ridiculously catchy choruses, triumphant belting, energized riffing, and a much stronger rhythm section that put this at the time 5-piece on the path to the yellow brick road. Paramore had definitely generated some buzz up to this point, but it's the angry anthem Misery Business that permanently stapled this band to the mainstream. Thunderous drums pound on that hit among others, from That's What You Get to the cathartic Let the Flames Begin, tying up any loose ends with the softer When It Rains, and the dashing underdog that's become a top favorite of mine, Fences. Hot take maybe, but Decoy should have been on the album proper instead of We Are Broken, which is easily the weakest link, and Decoy fucking rips, so it's very disappointing to not have it on streaming. It's weird to think how long ago Riot landed, but to me, it came out at the perfect time. Summer 2007, right after my freshman year of high school. The emo-adjacent lyrics scratched a major itch without feeling too overdone, at least most of the time, so it's nice to be able to look back, rock out, and accept that I still love this album despite its flaws. Riot is going in front of This Is Why, but still in the B tier, out of fairness to just how much better they became with the 3 albums that followed. Hunger was in the air after a 4-year gap between Brand New Eyes to the self-titled album. The band drama had blown up with the bloody exit of Josh and Zac Farro, painting bruises on the remaining faces as they kept pressing on through the most grueling years of Paramore's existence. The desire to craft a longer, more meaningful album was a big ask for a trio in turmoil, but the final product stands as an hour-long testament to the power of perseverance and to the monumental talents of Taylor York, Hayley Williams, and their producer Justin Meldell Johnson, who I'm actually a pretty big fan of. The incorporation of synthesizers was a huge win for the album, as they often bind fist-pumping tempos with the more atmospheric side of Paramore. Aforementioned cuts like Grow Up remain all-time greats, thanks to the effectiveness of the synths in the intro and the outro. It's just really a spellbinding sequence. Also decorating the hallways of Still Into You, Last Hope, and the Scorching Masterpiece Part 2 is a key trademark of their reinvented sound. Interludes were a first and as of now last for the group, but each of the 3 from the self-titled era convey the outspoken attitude that Hayley was so clearly channeling, as ukulele reverberates with every word sung, acting is a nice in-and-out echo of the past without derailing the flow of the record. For this being their first album as a trio, it doesn't feel like they're missing out on 2 huge members. Instead, they dedicate the 64-minute runtime to testing the limits of Paramore, from their best stabs at pop rock a la Daydreaming and Fast in My Car, which immediately sunk its teeth in, to the tender ballad Hate to See Your Heart Break, and the 8-minute sidewinder Future. Sure, there were some misfires. One of Those Crazy Girls is tacky at best, a handful of songs feel a bit like unfinished demos, and the guitar work can get redundant, but I don't see it as being a gear-grinding deal-breaker, maybe just a slight bump and a surprisingly smooth road. A tier for Paramore's Self-Titled. It's underrated despite having some of their biggest hits like Ain't It Fun and Still Into You, so please, dig deeper if you haven't already. Zac Farro rejoining Paramore came at the perfect time. The band, well, what was left of it, were trying to make sense of a viable future after bass player Jeremy Davis not only left Paramore, he tried suing them on the way out. But reuniting with Zac couldn't mean spoon-feeding the audience by returning to the pop-punk bops of yesteryear. It had to be something new. Thus, After Laughter was born, as they felt their way through a dark escape route into an upside-down, synth-spun, delectable bass 80s music wonderland. The vibrant cover art is an all-time favorite, and so is the album's name, with Hayley quoted as saying, "After Laughter is about the look on people's faces when they're done laughing." If you watch people long enough, there's always this look that comes across their face when they're done smiling, and I always find it really fascinating to wonder what it is that brought them back to reality. After Laughter is a sunny, fun, but at times devastatingly sad new wave album featuring prominent doses of alternative, funk, rock, and synth pop. Declining mental health issues surrounding love, depression, and burnout are transformed into windows down bangers, which should not work as well as they do. Tasty layering in the production gives razor focus to every note, calmly diffusing bomb after bomb, as Paramore made the wise decision to not burn up their wax wings as they cruise within striking distance of the sun. For them to still have the wherewithal to not only give us an intelligent pop shakeup, but also stick the landing insanely well is beyond my comprehension level. Fake Happy chirps with a fluttering confessional tone, Pool jumps out as possibly the best constructed, most underrated track of their career, 26 knocks the wind out of the listener as all flights remain grounded due to overwhelming sadness, and Idol Worship serves up a rambunctious, loud message about putting celebrities on pedestals that I really think every fandom should study every word of. After Laughter absolutely slaps, from the Zac-assisted jam Grudges to the boppable takedown Rose-Colored Boy and back again. I'm going S tier all the way.
We'll go get your shovel, and we'll take home. So bury the castle, bury the castle.
The insatiable desire I feel to return to this album often, like The Weeknd often, easily cements Brand New Eyes as my #1 spot on the ranking. The versatility of Paramore's knockout punch showcases their growth as a band in a myriad of ways, making their third album an unmistakable voice of frustrated rage as the group began imploding from the inside out. Lovers of rock, pop punk, alternative, or better yet, just straight up guitar lovers, Brand New Eyes is calling your name from the top of a mountain with the megaphone that Hayley uses on Ignorance. Vicious, sardonic writing tears a hole through the band in a plane that's constantly braced for impact with the ground, except that fiery crash never comes thanks to our pilots somehow managing to avoid the cliffside explosion with the final 4-song run to close out the album. Long before things started looking up, a tangled web of discontentment sees each member playing their hearts out, almost as if they're locked in a competition to outperform the other, as the struggle for the spotlight unbelievably turned into what some might call a Cinderella story. The odds were not only stacked against them as bandmates, but also as artists. From the opening warning shot Careful into the pummeling Ignorance and the sarcastic twist of fate playing God, we're off to the races, but good fucking lord, it does not slow down from there, not even on the acoustic ballads that unclog the tear ducts with their eternal autumn meets winter spirit. You're selling Paramore short if you only categorize this as some sort of late 2000s pop punk or emo affair. Brick by Boring Brick by itself proves their towering force, as the outro gets me shoutier than a toddler throwing a tantrum, but add in the unwavering acoustic emotion of Misguided Ghosts, toss in the introspective band drama puzzle piece Feeling Sorry, and solve the equation with All I Wanted. Brand New Eyes changed my life. It's a big part of the reason why I started ARTV, and I also, not so coincidentally, happen to share a channel anniversary with the album's birthday, September 29th, 2009, and an obvious S tier. How would you rank Paramore's albums? Give me your ranking in the comments, and hit that like button, it goes a long way. You can check out the last episode of Ranked on Radiohead right here, or tap here to see all of my Paramore content, including my new top 10. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on ARTV.